Now to a WCPO 9 I-Team investigation.
Reports of child abuse and neglect fell by nearly 50% in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana right after the quarantine restrictions began back in March. Now, 6 months later, the WCPO 9 I-Team has discovered child abuse reports on the rebound.
Investigative reporter Paula Christian digs into why this is happening and explains the disturbing new trends in abuse cases that are worrying child advocates.
We've had more shaken baby cases, more severity of injuries.
As Assistant Director of Children's Services for Hamilton County's Job and Family Services, Margie Weaver is worried about what she's seeing.
Injuries such as head injuries, more broken bones or fractures.
The I-Team first reported on child abuse in April when abuse reports plunged after state officials shut down schools and issued stay-at-home orders. Child advocates worried the abuse was still occurring behind closed doors where mandated reporters such as teachers and daycare workers couldn't see it. When Governor DeWine lifted those orders, hotline abuse calls immediately rose again.
Essentially, we've seen the number of reports clearly corresponding with shutdown orders.
Callers reporting child abuse and neglect in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky increased to more normal levels this summer. But each of those three states say overall reports are still down by thousands compared to last year. But local child protection workers say the severity of physical abuse, especially to very young children, is worse now than in 2019. The increase in physical abuse cases didn't surprise Kathy Makeroff. She's the medical director at the Mayerson Center for Safe and Healthy Children at Cincinnati Children's Hospital.
Obviously, with this pandemic, there are lots of stressors, not just economic stressors, but child care concerns, job concerns, health concerns.
Each year, the Mayerson team treats more than 2,000 children from Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana and evaluates 4 to 8 suspected abuse cases a day. Makeroff says the number of toddlers who are swallowing harmful prescription medicines at home has gone up during the pandemic.
There is probably a supervision issue. You're asking families to do a lot more and a lot more at home than typical.
Social workers are also concerned about what kids are seeing at home.
We've interviewed a few kids whose parents were murdered through domestic violence, and the child was there.
Andrea Ritchie also works at the Mayerson Center. She says children who are spending more time online because of remote learning could be in greater danger of being approached by a sexual predator.
I think kids that are feeling lonely, that are feeling isolated, that are feeling stressed out and depressed and don't want to talk to their family about it are reaching out online.
Tracy Cook is executive director of Pro Kids in Hamilton County. It's a nonprofit that advocates for abused children in foster care.
Our caseloads are up quite dramatically.
While overall abuse hotline calls are down, advocates say more of those calls lead authorities to actual physical abuse of children.
I predict that the fall and winter are going to be some of the most extraordinarily challenging times that child protection has ever gone through.
Cook says a surge in abuse reports could come now that some schools are back in person.
Know that the timing of it likely has to do with kids coming back into contact with folks like teachers, coaches, and healthcare professionals.
Child advocates say the public should reach out with a phone call to families who might be struggling, especially those with young children. Paula Christian, 9 News I-Team.
Well, you heard Paula kind of hit on it there. If you see something that could be abused, child advocates again say you should report it. Here are the numbers. Take a picture with your smartphone if you can. These are the abuse hotline numbers on your screen. There's another way the public can also help. Pro Kids is looking for volunteers to work as court-appointed special advocates, or CASAs, for abused children. You can find out more about that in Paula's digital story right now on WCPO.com.